Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is, well, it actually follows the disappearance of 6 young teenagers from Ontario in Canada in Pickering, and to this day it still remains unsolved. We do not know what happened to them. We have not found their remains. We have found nothing. This case would actually become to be known as the Lost Boys of Pickering. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. I will eventually get around to them. Again, I'm so sorry, but hopefully I can start getting back onto them properly, like within the next couple of weeks. So, the teenage boys involved were Chad Smith, 18, Daniel Higgins, 17, Jay Boyle, 17, Jamie Levbury, 17, Michael Cummins, 17, and Robbie Rumbold, 17. The boys were all friends and some of them attended the same high school. So these boys had all gone out on the 17th of March in 1995. They all went to a party there together, they hung out, they had fun, and then all 6 of them ended up leaving that party together, and that would be the last time that they were seen. Obviously, it's a party. There's going to be a lot of alcohol. There's going to be a lot of other things going around. You know, whatever they do at the parties, they enjoy themselves, they get drunk, and by all accounts, everyone had a good time. The 6 decided to leave the party at about 10 to 1 a.m. and they actually told one of their friends that they were going to goof around with a boat. And apparently, they did say that they were going to come back to the party, but I didn't find much information on that. It's heavily suspected that, due to evidence and witnesses, that the boys went down to something called Frenchman's Bay. It's where a lot of teenagers would often go. They would often hang out there. It was a popular hangout spot for them, and it was thought that they actually went down to the beach looking for adventure. The boys never made it back to the party. They never made it back home at all. One of the first people to notice that these boys had gone missing was one of the boy's girlfriends. It was actually Jay Boyle's girlfriend, who was called Monique. He had a little girl with her. She was very young, this little girl. He adored this little girl, and they lived together as well. Basement apartment, I believe. The boys never returned to the party. They were maybe drunk somewhere or had gone and slept it off somewhere, and it just wasn't taken too seriously in the beginning, when it definitely should have been. But by the next day, when the boys still had not come home, and obviously all of their family started to realise that they were missing, that was when it was finally taken a bit more seriously. So like I said, it was suspected that the boys went to the lake that night, which they did find through witnesses and evidence that was collected later on. They also did find some CCTV footage. And by 2 p.m. on the Saturday, which was 36 hours after the boys had gone missing, there was this huge, massive scale search underway. They searched everywhere they could, with other joining police forces coming in and helping out on the search. They brought in helicopters, dive teams, everything. They were out there searching on boats and just looking everywhere. Loads of volunteers helped. Everyone was there trying to find what had happened to these boys. So I mentioned the CCTV before. On it, they located that it was believed to be 3 of the boys. So obviously there were 6 that had gone missing, but 3 of the boys were caught on the CCTV. It was believed to be Michael, Jamie, and Robbie. They were going into East Shore Marina at 1:48 a.m. And not long after that, the police had also been informed that 2 boats had actually gone missing from 2 different marinas. One from the same marina that the 3 boys were known to be at and where they disappeared from, and another from a different marina. So really it is believed, okay, that the 3 boys that were caught on the CCTV most likely stole the boat that was from that marina, and that maybe for some reason the group actually split up and they went to another marina where they then stole a different boat. Now, they weren't caught on CCTV stealing this boat because of where it was angled and things like that. None of that was caught on CCTV, so we actually have no proof that they even stole the boat at all, but that is just what is believed. One of these boats was a Boston Whaler motorboat replica. And then there was this 3-wheeled boat. And again, people really did think that the boys had taken these. They told a friend that they were going down to the marina to mess about on a boat, and then they're caught on CCTV, 3 of them, and then a boat goes missing from there. It does kind of line up. It's not really known why they actually did split up, but obviously they must have done, because you've got 3 of them, only 3 of them caught on the CCTV at that marina, and then you've got the other 3 who were nowhere to be seen but then another boat is stolen from a different marina. Maybe they literally did just split up so that they could take one from each and were less likely going to get caught. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted the 2 boats and they thought taking them from different marinas would be easier or something. I don't know. It's all just speculation again. There's not been any proof that the 6 of them even took a boat, and there's no proof of that, but it just makes more sense that they did. But again, no proof. And they never actually found any remnants of these boats whatsoever. So if you think that these boys have gone out to sea, you know, a big massive boat or whatever has crashed into them, or they have crashed, their boat has sank, you'd probably find bits of the boat or bits of clothing off them, or even bodies. Nothing. Nothing has been found of them ever. Some local residents did report that they'd heard a motorboat out on the lake between 2 and 3 a.m. But again, you know, nobody saw anything or anything like that. So going back to the search that was carried out the next day from 2 p.m, that search actually lasted 2 whole days. And it was huge. And when I say huge, I mean huge. It was a massive scale. There was helicopters brought in from Toronto Police Marine Unit, the Coast Guard, another aircraft was brought in, and along with thousands of volunteers and the community. They were all looking for anything, and they just found nothing. They didn't find any remnants of the boat. They didn't find any remnants of clothing. They didn't find any of the boys' bodies, or just nothing. It was like they've just been plucked off the face of the earth and they are just gone, along with the boats too. Everything was just gone. A bit later on, they did find a gas can that was believed to have belonged to the Boston whaler boat. I believe it washed up somewhere or it was found in the water, but that's it. That's literally the only thing that they found that could have been tied to that boat. And maybe it wasn't even from that boat specifically. Maybe it was from a different boat of that's, like, you know, the same kind of boat. I don't know. But that's literally all they found. Many people do believe that the boys took those boats out that night, that they possibly capsized or crashed or something like that. And as a result of that, they landed in the water. With the time of year that the boys were out, the water would have been freezing, so it would have been very easy for them to suffer from hypothermia very quickly, because the water was just so cold. And not even the water, just if their boat has crashed and sank and they're out in the middle of the water and they're stuck in the freezing cold water, even if they did manage to get out of that, they could still have succumbed to hypothermia because of how cold that they was and how cold the night was, kind of thing. Although again, there's no evidence of that. No bodies have ever been found on shore or anything like that. So they either drowned, died due to exposure, hypothermia, whatever it is you want to think, but that is the theory. Again, we do not know. We don't know very much on this case. We have the CCTV, but it doesn't show them taking the boat. It just shows that they were there at that time. It's also been said that apparently the lake that night was very calm and it would have been very difficult to capsize a boat on that lake. So maybe you're thinking more along the lines that they crashed rather than tipped their boat because of rough waters, because it seemed like there wasn't a rough water on that night. And again, no evidence of the boats have ever been recovered. Obviously, they could have crashed into maybe a bigger vessel. So you're thinking that these huge vessels are on the thingy, are on the lake. These teenagers are drunk, possibly don't even know how to drive a boat. I don't know. And they're out there and they crash, do take some damage to their boat. It eventually breaks up, sinks, and they unfortunately drown. However, the problem with that is that there were no actual big vessels on that lake that night, apparently. Of course, there still could have been, but they were just non-registered, so, and non-seen by witnesses or anything like that. So yeah, okay, one could have slipped in, or a couple could have slipped in and nobody noticed, but from all accounts, there wasn't any. It's also believed that maybe what actually happened to them happened around the same time. So if you think about it, if you have 2 separate boats, right? So maybe there was only one on the other one and the rest were on that one. I don't know. But you've got these boys split between these 2 boats and one of them starts to sink. Surely the other one drives back to go and get help. Why did that not happen? So did whatever happened to these boys happen at the same time? Were they next to each other and then crashed together or something? There's a lot of questions, and a lot of questions that probably won't ever have answers to. And the fact that there were 6 of them, these boats were pretty sturdy, but they possibly ended up breaking up, crashing, whatever, and all 6 of them did not survive. Like, you know, it's not like there's 1 or 2 there, and, you know, it's less likely for them to survive. There's 6 boys there, and you're telling me that they all drowned, succumbed to hypothermia, and none of them managed to get back to shore? I don't know how far out they possibly would have been. Maybe it was impossible for them to get back to shore without any buoyancy or anything like that. They didn't have life jackets, I don't believe. So, you know, maybe it would have been impossible for them to get back depending on how far they actually went out. So, as I mentioned, the gas canister before that washed up. Apparently it washed up in Wilson, New York, and when police looked into it, they believed that it was from this Boston whaler replica which they believed the boys had taken. But a private investigator named Bruce Ricketts, who had actually taken an interest in this case, was going around asking questions and things about it. And one of those questions was, would this gas canister have washed up in that area with the way that the current was moving? And I think that he believed it wouldn't have. From where the boys actually went missing, where they were believed to be, and the way the current was running, that this canister wouldn't have ended up where it did. Bruce, apparently, from what I could find online, wasn't actually charging the families for looking into this case, which is obviously really, really nice. And I've seen that he was looking into the case. He was requesting information from the police to obviously find out what he could about the boys, hopefully find them. And the information that he got off the police was apparently very heavily redacted. He said that the police won't actually allow anyone to look further into the case or recap it or anything like that, which I don't understand. I've also seen that he said that there were possible sightings sent into the police, and that the police had actually planned to use this underwater search company that used this side scan sonar equipment, but before this search even began, it was cancelled for some reason. So apparently this helicopter, within the days that the boys went missing, this helicopter was up above, it was searching the water, and it saw something in the water that could potentially resemble a boat. Now, obviously, boats sink, and it could be any boat, but this boat could not be seen from land, it could only be seen from air, and so it was thought that the plan with this side underwater scanner thing was that they were gonna go under there and check out this boat. Well, this potential boat. They didn't know that it was a boat, so potential boat. But then it was cancelled, and I don't know why. Like, what happened to these boys? Where did they go? It's just insane how 6 people can just vanish like that. So on the 10th of April in 1998, which was 3 years after the boys went missing, the police actually found the remains of 2 people in the Niagara River. One of the bodies was just bones at that point, and the other was skeletal but still had some clothes intact on the body, one of which was these described by an officer as these red Levi jeans. Now, interestingly enough, Jay, one of the missing boys, his mother had actually purchased 2 pairs of Levi jeans for her son before he went missing, one of which was red. Now, even more interestingly, on the night that they went missing, he was wearing these red Levi jeans. So upon hearing this information, Jay's family was pressing the police to look into it further. Maybe it could be Jay. Maybe they had finally found the remains of their son, brother, maybe they finally knew something. It was the strongest lead they had. It matched the description that he was wearing those clothes that night. They were found in the water, which is believed that they drowned. But the police actually apparently refused to look into it, initially at least. They said that the cost was too high and they didn't believe that it was the boys, because they would not have ended up in this river. So Bruce, the private investigator, once more requested information off the police. And again, it was really hard for him to do. They just didn't want to give him anything. And when he did finally get it, once more, it was heavily redacted. This information is should have been a lot easier for him to get than it was, so I find that really, really odd. Eventually though, the police, I guess with all the looking into it and everything else and the pushing, they did manage to get these jeans sent off for testing. Now, they pulled Bruce and the family into a meeting, and that is where they actually told them that these pants were orange pants and they were not Levi jeans at all. It was also stated that later on, after being found, these pants were misplaced, and that is why it took so long to send them off for testing. Now, obviously, that could be a massive problem. Somebody could have contaminated the jeans. Somebody could have literally swapped them out for a different pair. Not that they would have done, but, I mean, they could have done. Somebody could be trying to cover this up and could have swapped out evidence. You just don't know. Or it could have happened accidentally. They could have some orange pants and some red Levi jeans, and they could have accidentally got switched or something, because these were misplaced. This evidence was misplaced when it really should not have been. It was actually later stated that these were kept in a hospital for 16 years, but there was never any paperwork or anything to prove that. And why would the officer who had found these bodies, was documenting everything, reporting everything, have mistaken some red Levi jeans and even the make? So you literally putting the brand on there. So he must have seen the Levi brand somewhere, because you don't just make up a brand. If they are Levi jeans, they are Levi jeans with some orange pants. You can't mistake that. If he didn't see Levi on it, he probably would have just said some red jeans or some red pants, but he didn't. He said red Levi jeans. So how do you mix that up with orange pants? That does not make sense to me whatsoever. They did test the body and any DNA and things like that, and they did come back to say that it was actually not a match for Jay's body, unfortunately. So his family were no closer to finding out anything. I've also seen that apparently the CCTV has now vanished. It definitely did exist because the family watched it, but when a request was put in later to get this footage, nobody seems to have this CCTV at all. And it's really important. It was the last sighting of these boys, the last known sighting of these boys, and it's just gone missing. It's just crazy. Like, I don't know whether there's some big cover-up or whether it's just police doing a really bad job on the case. I don't know, but it's just, I find it really, really weird. That's literally the entirety of the information we have on the case. Obviously, there are many theories of what people believe happened to them, which I will go into next. There's one theory where the boys got involved with drugs or smuggling drugs or something like that, because that area is apparently well known for being a drug smuggling area, so that it has potential. The second theory is that the boys actually planned to leave that day, that they decided that they wanted to go for a new life, and that could be backed up by witnesses coming forward to say that they had actually seen the boys after the fact. One came forward to say that they saw them in Toronto, which could have been possible when they went for gasoline for the boat or something. Someone came forward and said that they drove past Chad. He seemingly was heading towards his mother's house. We do not know the name of this motorist because it was redacted in the statement, but she said that Chad smiled at her. And later she did actually go to Chad's mother's house, who said that she had not been in all day. She had not seen Chad at all, but when she did arrive home, she did believe that somebody had been in there. So whether it was Chad and he had gone home to get a few things or something, who knows? Another person came forward who actually knew Jamie, said that they had seen him in a Burger King in New York. Michael Cummings' mother also stated that when Michael left that night, he gave her this chain that he really loved wearing, and he told her to wear it. And it's not something, you know, normally he would wear it because he loved it, but he was giving it his mother. And it's something she really, really does think back on. Like, was that him saying his final goodbye? Like, keep this to remember me by, I am leaving and I'm not coming back, kind of thing. It makes her believe that this whole thing was planned. Jay's family, however, really don't believe that he would have left willingly. Like, he had a daughter that he completely adored. He had his girlfriend that he loved, all his family. He would not have left willingly because he had too much there. Like, all his life was there, and that he would not have like ran away to start a new life because he adored his child so much. The third theory is, of course, that a larger boat struck the boys while they were out and basically destroyed their boat, which did result in them unfortunately dying, drowning, hypothermia. However, they would have passed away. They all did. But again, there's just nothing. There's nothing to support any of this. But there's no remnants of boats. There's no damages, no anything. We just don't have anything, and that's really frustrating with this case, because 6 boys, teenage boys, who had their entire lives ahead of them, one day suddenly after a party just vanish, and it's just madness. There's no trace of them. There is nothing, and I just found it so crazy how they could just disappear like that. Yes, okay, they could have gone off and started a new life, but I don't know, just with Jay, like his little girl being at home and he absolutely loved her, it makes me believe that they didn't, at least he didn't do that. And so if he didn't do that, then where is he? But the thing with the chain really makes me think that Michael was possibly saying goodbye. I don't know. Maybe some of them planned to go and some planned to stay, and they were all doing a final hurrah, and then something horrific happened. I just don't know. That is the problem with this case. What do you guys think? Like, I have so many questions and none of them will probably ever get answered, and it's really frustrating. Like, the police investigation seemed, the search was huge, don't get me wrong, but it just seemed like when the private investigator was like trying to look into it more, they just wouldn't give him anything, which I find really odd. But yeah, please let me know what your thoughts are on this case, and I will read them and take them in because I just like to know what everyone else thinks on this one. But yeah, that is the end of the case. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for similar content. Thank you so much to all my regulars. I appreciate you. Anyway guys, that's all I have today on the case of the Lost Boys of Pickering. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.